reliably bringing down a 7/7 trample on turn 1. And then you have like all these fling shenanigans around that playstyle. It was just super, super fun to play.
Yep.
And apparently it's quite hard to interact with that card at all. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to that match. I think we're about to see some spicy magic here. I mean, looking at the list, Ishai is only a blue split for the Pinnacle Emissary.
Yeah. The Dargo, it's a Dargo Boros list that splashes
Exactly.
Pinnacle Emissary,
And I mean, the
but that's
Pinnacle
very
Emissary
cool.
is a very, very good fit in that deck.
Yeah.
And it makes, and that's, we said that a couple of times. For this exact situation, I love the fact that we can use partners as adding colors to the 99. That's a perfect situation for that. We have like a very good splash here. Just one card. It's similar to what the Yoshi decks do these days. With featuring the Superwoman, right, and Mental Misstep and Gachexin Probe in some cases even. Just because we're both coming from Highlander, and back then there was a big thing in deck building where you had like a 3-color pile and you were adding like 2 more cards of a 4th color and stuff. And it's interesting in terms of how to build a mana base. And here you don't really need that, since the warp is a hybrid cost. Um, Same as for the Superwoman.
And with a Mental Misstep, you don't even have to pay any
Exactly.
mana for it
Yeah.
at all. So yeah, the splashes are a little bit different in these decks, but yeah, I really like the concept of splashing cards and not actually having that much. Like for example, the Tazigor decks, um, they really only splash green for a couple of cards,
Yeah.
but they still have to construct their mana bases, so they always have access to those colors.
Correct. Correct.
And that's you get to commit fully to the blue-black mana base, and then have a couple more green lands to round it off.
Yeah. Right. So Thoughtseize, and we saw an Everflowing Chalice, the 1 mana Topter, the legendary one that I'm missing the name of.
Hope of Girapur.
Hope of Girapur. Opponent decided to discard a Turbo Orb, which makes a lot of sense against
Yes,
or
the
as
Reaper King.
a Reanimator player. Just showing you the Turbo Orb real quick. Here we go. Card that you
And
don't see
Torpor
too
Orb,
often.
a very cool card to have in in the Dargo deck, because it is tech against so many decks.
Yeah,
So many decks rely a lot on the into the battlefield triggers. But if you are trying to resolve a into the battlefield trigger yourself, then
you can just sack it away.
you can just sack it away. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the Dargo.
very true. So here we have another fancy card that I played in Failure last time, I think. These days, I guess it's not part of the 99 anymore, though I still really like the card. It's Astrid, and it perfectly fits into a deck like this, right?
And we see like an absolutely beautiful line happen here. He has a Goblin Welder in play.
Yeah,
He gets to explore with Astrid by sacrificing the food to the Goblin Welder, and putting the Torpor Orb in play that was discarded the turn before.
yeah. So for everyone
Lovely
who's
line.
not aware of this weird artwork, here we go with the Goblin Welder. It was this, yeah, this very strange secret layer. You have to like it. Let's say it like that. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is funny for sure. So Torborg definitely doing a thing here. Reaper King will not distribute any 1/1 counters on ETB, and most likely all of the shenanigans that you're planning to do with a Brute combo or any other Archons, big guys that enter the battlefield via reanimation, they will not trigger either. So that's pretty powerful. I already like to see what's going on here. It's classic Dargo magic right away. Turn 2, we've played our entire hand. We've revived the things that we recently got rid of due to the Thoughtseize. Really, really nice.
Yeah, and an uninteracted with Goblin Welder also means that the foods that Astrid is making on attack mean that you can sacrifice the like an ancient den and get it back into play with the welder.
Yeah, totally.
Without having to pay any mana to pump to sacred food and pump the Astrid.
That's true. So, what you're going to do against that? I think the Reaper deck does not play lots of interaction, if any, against. Maybe there is a Haywire Might. I could think of that. Let me just check real quick. There
You
is a
mean
Cankerbloom. Something to deal with the Torbo, because I think
yeah, Kankerbloom does deal with the top orb, but
yeah,
that's it as
pretty
far as
much it,
I can
right?
tell. And
Yeah,
Boseiju,
right.
um,
Abrupt Decay is also in.
is it? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that could do the
okay.
job. But that's
But
it.
all of these cards only deal uh
With the Torbo Orb
with the
itself.
top orb.
Yes,
But no, but they deal with the top orb once, and with the welder open,
true, true.
he
You
can sack the Hope of Girapur to instantly get the top orb back into play after it's been removed. So he has to deal with the welder and then deal with the top orb. So here we see a
definitely.
big Astrid. This Astrid has been growing, big enough, definitely big enough to not be blocked to death by the Emperor.
And I mean,
And
even if he gets to deal with Torbo Orb, as you said, you have to have another removal spell for the Goblin Welder too, and then you're still left with a 7/7 trample, right? That
yeah,
is going to attack turn by turn. So, hello, Xakuya. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but doesn't matter. You missed the Rakdos matchup for sure. It was a fancy one. We got to see some classic Rakdos, I would say. So here, changing a treasure token, or was it? No, it was a food token, right? Changing a food token for the Durapur again. That's also a crazy good interaction if you think about it. And also in combination, like the entire combination, Astrid is growing and growing. You have the explore triggers. That's a really, really powerful setup, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah,
And most of us are trying meta decks or close to meta decks, or like trying to pilot their pet deck towards the next tournament and stuff. And so if you constantly play against Tazigurs and Spider-Mans and whatsoever, you have the impression that there is no room for a deck like that. In fact, if you're sitting on the table in a tournament, you won't face 7 Tazigurs the entire day, right? Or like, I mean, last time we've been to Strasbourg, I did face 4 Spider-Mans in a row, which was quite crazy. But the tournament before, I was also facing 4 times Thrasios, so that seems to be a thing there. Or maybe my pairings were just a bit unlucky. Here we have a cool hand. There is a Winter Orb. There is a Mishra's Bauble. We start with a Mandibular something.
oh, I don't even know the other
Mandibular
for this
Kite.
card.
It was played in Cloud for a while as living weapon, and the creature gets +1/+1. So effectively,
Ah,
with Dargo in combination, you have 2 things to sacrifice here. So right now, Dargo costs 3, and
with the Mishra's Bubble, it'll cost 2 next turn, and he can haste it out with the. He can even keep the kite in play.
it will cost
Interesting.
1, right? Because you can
Yeah,
sacrifice
1. Yeah, yeah,
those
sorry.
2, and yeah. Yeah, that's the cool thing about the wording on Dargo is you don't have to sacrifice all those artifacts and creatures as an additional cost, but rather that anything sacked prior to that will also account to the total mana cost, which is a really, really good thing in that case. Some Junt Yeah, I mean, why not? Cheerio. Nemanja is here. ERK Nemanja. What's up, mate? Let's see if we get a Lumra on camera for you today. I'm not sure if you're still into Lumra. It's not Naya Dargo, it's Jeskai Dargo, actually.
Oh, he's okay. I would have thought that he would go for Dargo this turn,
Yeah, me too, actually.
but
But there's a nutrient block. That's a rather new artifact um from Edge of Eternities.
maybe he wants to see more commitment to the Winter Orb the turn that he plays Dargo. We'll
So it's a
see.
food token. I think it's worded quite well. When I saw the card, I was directly thinking of Dargo because you have an unconditional card draw,
Yep.
and your opponent can't even kill this thing. It's very rare that you will face exile, artifact, enchantment effects, and it's probably never going to happen here.
Yeah, and
Opponent will shut down either
especially
of those things.
especially in the turns before Dargo comes down. That's going to happen very rarely that those artifacts will die.
Yep, I was just talking about that, Alexander, to Samuel in between the games that I saw a player who was playing lots of Dargo Ikra Storm on MTGO. He actually brought up not a similar Storm variant, but it went in a stormy direction actually, together with Dargo and Ikra, which looked quite cool. I have to see if I find the list actually.
Okay, so he has two card draws open from the implement and the nutrient block. No lands in hand. So I think so if I was playing, I would crack the bobble, look at my top card, mm, and then exert the arena to okay, yeah. This is you can do it this way as well. One,
Yeah, I think so too.
two. We don't see another land, so we might see the Ghost Vacuum deployed. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very powerful tool against a deck like that, right?
Yeah, so maybe he's respecting the Reaper King's ability to eventually kill Dargo and keeping all that in play. He is only untapping with 1 mana next turn, which is going to make it difficult to do that much, but maybe Dargo can go all the way on his own.
So the Reaper King is definitely considering what to do and what not to do here. I mean, the pirate is just pressuring a lot, right? Holding you the lobster in your face.
He could just leave all his creatures untapped, and then he can kill Dargo with a block and only take 2 damage.
Yeah, that feels awkward.
It does, it does.
Sacrificing your entire board for that. Actually, Dargo is a 7/5, right? Not a 7/7.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
that's what
let's
I mean.
check it up. Yeah, because previously I said 7/7. That's not right.
What he does not play, which I find a little bit surprising, is any way to like double Dargo's power or double strike him up or something like that. Okay, casting a Metamorphosis on the Reaper King here. So
So
he
going
has
for
something to
6
do with
mana.
it.
Mm-hmm. Up for some shenanigans. For anyone who's not aware, here is Metamorphosis. It's similar to Sacrifice or Burnt Offering, just at its sorcery speed, unfortunately. Which in some cases makes it very awkward to use. It is a card from Christopher Rush, though, I just realized. Originally from Arabian Nights.
Be some very expensive signatures on that card.
Mm. I like the MTG O variant. I like the artwork with the wolf.
Oh,
Quite similar to. No, there's like a deer on it. But let's get back to the OG. So we have 7 mana because the spell adds 1 in addition. And the Reaper King apparently has CMC 6.
we haven't analyzed the pollen, which I'm guessing. Yeah, he analyzed the survival and the Reaper King, and he did it with a timing so that the card could get ghost vacuumed. Um, so this gets to get any creature, and there are a bunch of good hits with 7 mana floating. Just an like an Archon of Cruelty, which he, never mind, does not play. Um, would have done the job here. He's cast 2 spells, so he could go for a Stormscale Scion, which is what he is doing. If he has any more spells, or he has 1 card left in hand, so he could cast 1 additional spell,
And here we
and
go
then,
with the Storm plan in Junt
yeah.
colors. We just talked about it in the chat, but not from the Dargo side, but rather from the Reaper King side.
Okay, he's just going for it, which does put 2 tokens into play. Mm, Is that dice representing?
That's a good question.
I can't read it. Hopefully it says 2.
Yeah, that's a the dice is I mean for them it might work, but for us it's really really bad to be honest.
Yeah.
We can't see anything here. But okay. You played versus Samuel. Yeah, now I know. I think I saw you last week on stream where you played Modern on the Italian Modern event. Now I know who we are. Yeah.
Very cool.
Definitely. And you guys played each other? You played against the Spider-Man?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
okay, cool, cool.
day 2, right?
Could be, yeah. Ah, Legacy you played, right? Legacy. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, there was an interesting event because there was this I think it went around the entire Magic world with the cheating case in the Modern tournament. But it is what it is.
So this is a Dargo that goes for a suicide swing, as it seems like. It'll take a dragon along with it. Um, there is 1 card in this. So these dragons are 6/6, so I think he should have taken. Yeah, because it's flipped to 1, so he should have taken 1 damage from the Dargo's Trample.
Mm-hmm. So here we have the Ever-Flowing Chalice, another card that I really, really like. Gives me those old school vibes.
Now he has enough mana to recast Dargo.
Yep.
Still no additional land drop.
Mm-hmm.
He does remember his Mishra's Bubble trigger, but I am still a little bit confused as to why he didn't take a damage. Because the Storm Cell Scions, they give each other +1/+1, so they're currently with 3 on the board. At that point, they were 6/6.
18 damage it will be, right? Yeah.
Well, no, now it's gonna be
Oh, it's only
10
two.
damage.
It's only two in
Now,
total, right? Yeah. Yep.
yeah, now it's only 2 in total.
Yeah, fair.
Mm. There is the Overlord of the Baelmerk coming down at some point. Another case where I don't know where the dice is at right now. He played at turn 2. I think he missed 1 land drop, so he's... Or maybe he didn't miss a land drop. And is at 5 lands. Because he still had the land in hand last turn. Okay, a Great Furnace. I don't see a way in hand for it to be relevant that they missed a damage from the Dargo last turn.
Here you see the disadvantage of playing the pile. You have like very explosive starts with lots of things to do in the early turns, but then once you've sacrificed everything and you had to trade Dargo a couple of times, it's very hard to get back into the game.
Yeah.
It's in this way, it's very much a glass cannon. Mutagen Man Living Ooze. I have not tinkered with that. You might have seen that we intentionally did not do a review on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set because we're both not really. We don't have any relation to the universe. I mean, I watched the series as a kid, but apart from that, I'm not like super hyped, and I don't really think that it fits into Magic. And there's this entire concept around. Seems to be a bit of a copycat from Spider-Man, and lots of very pushed cards. So I'm
Um,
not really looking forward. Yeah.
Nemanja, can you tell me how you are making a token of Basalt Monolith? Because he only reduces the ability of artifact tokens. He
True.
might be going for a Great Furnace instead of an Urza Saga.
So you have to create a token from Basalt Monolith first.
Yeah, which
But
I don't
that's
really like. There's blue cards that can
yeah,
copy
exactly.
permanents,
Yeah, I can
but
copy
green
artifacts
cards,
also.
it's not gonna be happening that often.
Starting with a birdie, and here we have Great Furnace and Ancient Den at one. Oh, there's a chainsaw. That's one of the 50 ways to bolt a bird. I kind of like this card, but I mean, it fits well into what Dargo is doing. And I think, especially here, it's one of those artifacts that you want to keep on board because it will make a probably like a 9 or a 10/5 out of Dargo instead of just just quote unquote just a 7/5, right? But there might be situations in which it's also fine to just sacrifice it for getting your
Yeah, I mean,
pirate on board.
yeah, it is one of those cards that you don't want to be sacrificing to Dargo, but that's part of the deck is knowing
Woo!
when
It's
you want to pressure out a Dargo.
it's the ooze. There we go. Such a cool card. I love the artwork actually.
And a card that also so it's gonna be starting to make mutagen tokens already.
Yeah.
And we have so he discarded the Stormscale Scion to the Fear of Missing Out, which is he has two cards that he can that he can put two user tokens that he can make. So if he has a creature to play next turn for 1 mana, he can play Dargo and make two mutagen tokens again once you cast Dargo, because if he gets to crack the mutagen tokens on the creature that he plays, and yeah.
But how do you make two mutagen tokens then? You get one for exiling the card? And
Yeah,
you
but
would
he has there's a Bird of Paradise in the graveyard. He's already made one by exiling the Stormscale Scion, and he gets to make another one
because of okay, okay. Because he can
by
exile
exiling
another
the
creature.
birds.
Yeah, I get that.
And so yeah. So and I think I saw the
There's the
living weapon,
kite again. Yeah. Yeah,
and
that seems to be a Dargo for one, right?
Dago for one, making two mutagen tokens again already. Oh,
Interesting that he sticks to the kite instead of instead of not sacrificing the chainsaw.
interesting that he doesn't activate the mutagen again.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Maybe he
see
wants
that. I
to
can see that because
keep.
if you have like a discard engine going on and you have some kind of, like next turn there's a faithless looting coming or something like that, and the opponent has an animate that waiting for a big target, I would also keep it untapped. You gotta respect a reanimated plan here, I guess.
Yeah,
But I don't quite get because the equipment cost for the kite is quite expensive. So I would not. It costs 4 to equip. I might be
yeah.
missing
I
something here.
think the trample damage from from the chainsaw might have been better here,
Yeah.
but it's but then again the chainsaw only had 2 damage on it.
Ooh, we see a dismember for Dargo, which is
I'm not sure
a
if
bit
why
annoying.
why there's no additional mutagen token on the battlefield, because he did crack the. Oh wait, no,
It
he
only produces mutagen tokens if the creature has a counter on it, right?
absolutely. But okay, so maybe this is kind of new card sequencing happening. But if he could have activated the mutagen token on the germ, which would have reduced Dargo's costs because you're sacrificing it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's
But
what I was talking about
but that was
before.
not enough mana, right? Because he had to. Okay, he could have saved the entire kite plus Phyrexian Gem. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you get the reduction from the
Well,
mutagen
no,
that's correct,
it
and
doesn't.
then
It's not additional reduction. It just means that um, he gets a mutagen token back when he's casting Dargo, because
okay, yeah, okay, okay.
the germ had a counter on it, which would have given him mutagen tokens back.
Again, keeping the kite. Why? I don't get it. Especially, now that the use is tapped, sacrificing the Soul Guide Lantern, which could also draw cards, doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, a little bit. So this I would say is a bit suboptimal sequencing,
Yeah.
which is absolutely can happen in Dargo. We're looking at it
I
from a
think it's
top-down
rather that
perspective.
we're missing something here, to be honest.
Well, maybe he doesn't know that the ooze. Maybe he didn't read his card properly, because the ooze says whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it leaves the battlefield,
Mhm.
create a mutagen token for each +1/+1 counter on it, which means it doesn't have to die.
That's true. Yeah,
And the Dowdy Voidwalker does prevent dying, but it doesn't prevent the leaving the battlefield.
that's true. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But I'm
I
not sure
think.
if it's too relevant here. I mean, it could
Well,
be
no, it
relevant at
definitely is.
some point
He's missing a card from the Soul Guide Lantern.
because he
Oh wait,
has.
no,
Yeah,
no, no,
I mean, no, not
no. He
really,
can.
because
Never mind, never mind. The Soul Guide Lantern makes you have to draw a card with it. You have to pay 1 mana and to
yeah. Oh, and there's
exile the
another
graveyard.
answer for Dargo. We see a Chaos Defiler.
But yeah, he would have had a very strong loop of mutagen tokens if he
Yeah,
had resolved the ooze correctly, mm, or played the ooze in kind of the way that it's written on the card. But this is a testament to the strength of the ooze in from what I'm seeing here, even if it isn't uh even if it isn't doing it right now.
What I really don't like is sacrificing the chainsaw here earlier. Um, the trigger
That
is
would Yeah.
universal. It's both sided.
Yeah.
So the equipment will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually at some point, maybe you have like, oh, there's an Iganyu for the Dowdy, for the Chaos Defiler. Yeah, which will likely deal with the ooze, and then you still get to exile it in response, right? Because this is a die trigger. Huh? What? Why would you do that? Yeah, okay. That now they clarified on that.
Yeah.
The opponent was like, why would you not? It looked like he was communicating. Why would you not instead take the Chaos Defiler because it dies? So very nice attitude here. But it's not looking too good for Dargo, to be honest. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe there was a thing here. Playing it. Oh, it was a saga is definitely a thing, but might be too late already. The
Yeah, not with
Lazotep
3 life.
query can't really do anything. Yeah, the problem is that you don't get around the Dowdy here.
Oh, but he does have the ability to sacrifice all its lands and put
Yeah, but still,
and
Dowdy
cast
has
Dargo again.
Shadow,
Yeah.
right? So it's not enough. Unfortunately. Okay, just casting Dargo one last time for the sake of casting Dargo. And here we see the handshake. Still, I have to say, kudos to him for bringing this pile to the tournament.
Absolutely.
Very enjoyable to cast it. Really cool pile. I like it when people put their mind together to brew something new.